Meteorologist Casey Cloud back with you live on this Friday morning. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect right now until about 8:30. Reports in the Jefferson, Lafayette, as well as Madison and Taylor counties. A wind gust there just under severe limits observed at 7:35, and toward parts of Madison County at the Big Bend Wildlands Preserve, it would seem, to about 57 miles an hour is really something they're just on the cusp of being severe. So that's why they issued this warning here. Got to be mindful of that potential as we're looking towards some of these different areas. And I know in a certain situation here that we generally would have when it's this time of day, if it wasn't something that was overwhelming here, I might not actually come on. This is an odd situation here overall, but because we're dealing with areas so hard hit by our storm system last week, Idalia, we wanted to break in right now to give you the latest to protect you, your friends, and your family. Some of you folks may still not have power down here. I mean, it's not going to be very many at this point, but western Lafayette, central Jefferson, northeastern Taylor, and southern Madison counties under this warning until 8:30. Perry, Pineland, over toward Ebb there, Lamont, Buckville, Thomas City, around the airport in Perry, you have Hampton Springs, Shermans, Sadie Grove, Cook's Hammock, Mosley Hall, Chansey, over toward Boyd and Smith. I know this warning's for gusts to 60, I think that's 57. I know last week we had 9 days ago about this time an extreme wind warning in effect, and that was for gusts upward about 115 miles an hour. So nothing like that, but still, if there's things that are loose out there, if you have like a tarp on your roof, then you're in a more vulnerable situation than you generally would be, and that's why you got to be a little more careful with the severe thunderstorm warning on play until about 8:30 this morning for part of the Big Bend region. You see where that gust was observed? Popping up right there. You can see that southeast of Lamont. And that's where we have the worst of this action at here with some of this wind energy. So that's kind of moving in the general direction here of Perry over the next little bit. So you got to be cognizant of that here this morning. You got to be taking precautions here in the Perry area. It's kind of pushes on in towards your neck of the woods here. You got to be inside. You got to be away from windows. I know school incessant, and that kind of adds a little extra layer to it here. But just got to be extra careful. I mean, you have temporary, I saw it firsthand on Wednesday, you have temporary things up there. And, I mean, tents, for instance, those could get blown around in these type of conditions. So we got to be really careful out here. We don't want to aggravate here the situation per se and the impact and have people get hurt. You don't want to have problems like that per se. You don't want to add insult to injury. So you just got to be really careful. It's got to be really careful. Let me go ahead and keep looking at things here. Again, this is where your severe warning is right now. You can see we have the greens and reds showing up on the Doppler. They're not really impressive, but we have the observed wind in this area here just a little while ago, and that's what prompted this an ambient weather station. I guess to 57 miles an hour at the Big Bend Wildlands. I want to say Wildlife, but no Wildlands Preserve in toward that area. So that's kind of telling the story right there. They continue to check the latest information here in the Weather Center. Again, that's a pretty impressive gust here, and that action's moving in toward vulnerable Perry right now. Vulnerable Perry. You're going to be getting into some of this over the next little bit, I know. Speaking of vulnerabilities here, I showed this to you last night. I'll go ahead and get through it here in our show here real quick and kind of say you what we're talking about in terms of some of the vulnerabilities. So here's one of them right here. So this is a tree there leaning across a road back on Wednesday when I had a chance to look at the devastation there and damage toward parts of town. So that kind of tells the story right there. One of the vulnerabilities that could unfortunately get exploited here by this severe thunderstorm. I mean, a tree's already halfway down. And this could burn it down. You don't want your car under. We had quite a few cars there and or buildings impacted by trees, their homes back Thursday night around Tallahassee. I don't want to have even more of that toward vulnerable Perry here this morning with this severe thunderstorm warning in play. So gotta keep that in mind. Again, checking things here in the Weather Center right now. Let me go ahead and get back over to the Doppler. Again, trying to give you the live information here to protect you, your friends, and your family here. Again, vulnerable Perry is what we're talking about here this morning. With this storm and it's coming on in, you just have that unfortunate vulnerability because of Idalia there last week. And storm is your first severe storm potential coming in really since Idalia. So you just want to make sure that things are going to hold up here for you. Those temps, those temporary and semi-permanent type of structures or things that you've done to kind of reinforce your leaks in the roof, something like that. It could exploit some of those, for the next few moments toward Perry. An odd time of day and a Friday morning here, folks trying to get back in that routine. Some of you, as this is coming into town here over the next few moments. So, again, continuing to give you guys the very latest here. We're live on the air right now. We're live on the air right now to keep you guys safe and informed. I'm just checking here to see what we got. So, again, let me see here. We had a gust of 57 miles an hour there. That was at 7:35, which what prompted the warning. That was at the Big Bend Wildlands Preserve. So again, that's a big storyline there, obviously. And then this is pushing in toward Perry. Once it gets past Perry, we'll see how they hold up here. Hopefully it'll be okay. And I'm going to wrap it up there at about that point if we don't see anything too overwhelming. This is kind of a marginal situation because that might have just been one quick gust in there. But since there's so much of a vulnerability there, and so many vulnerabilities to be exploited here, vulnerabilities to be exploited. I mean, it's got to be careful in this type of scenario around Perry. Now, normally that signature didn't look all that impressive, but the thing is, we don't want folks to be caught off guard here around Perry. I mean, you're in those temporary structures, you're in those tents. Looking real high up, you see maybe the wind set up a little bit worse off the Moody, but the Tallahassee radar is the one that's a little bit closer here, and this, again, is moving toward vulnerable Perry here over the next little bit in Taylor County. So you gotta make sure you're inside, you gotta make sure you're away from windows here in this type of situation. You can't be messing around here. You can't be messing around as we're looking toward Perry in Taylor County. This accent is trying to come on in there. Yeah, that gust there to about severe limits just a little while ago. And now we have some of this accent pushing down toward town here. You have it moving toward Boyd, for instance, here over the next little bit. So you just gotta be really careful there around Perry and Taylor County. I mean, there's areas like Day getting some heavy downpours right now. East side, Pond moving away from town, some heavy downpours, and a lot of trees fell on that road there taking you between Perry and Mayo the other day. Last week, you also see some weak wind enhancement west and north of Lauraville in parts of Suwannee County. Dowling Park is really vulnerable as well, and they're getting some heavy rain right now in that vicinity at least. Some gusty winds in the vicinity. They're not under officially a warning there, but nonetheless, definitely this is some storminess that could be a little bit adverse here for you guys because of what Idalia did last week. It kind of, again, the issues arise and potentially that you tried to fix. But again, continuing to watch things, continue to track them here. Let me go ahead and see exactly just what's going on. I want to see some photos. I showed you guys if you were watching last night here toward parts of Suwannee County. Parts of Suwannee County here. We'll go ahead and kind of give you guys an idea here on what we're talking about. You can see some of the damage around Dowling Park. Dowling Park, there, just all that tree debris around, and they have storminess in the vicinity. And then even a more impressive photo there in the Dowling Park area in Suwannee County from Wednesday, 1 week after our storm system Idalia. So it's kind of telling that story, but as we get back to the current viewpoint right now on the Doppler, you can see here north of Perry, some stronger winds there moving on in, some heavier downpours. You kind of get the idea, and to see if that kind of registers in Perry or not with some gustier winds. Not out of the question here as we're looking toward Perry. I know the pixels only say winds of 30 or 40, but you just never know here. We had a gust of 57 to the north, so it's not inconceivable we could get a gust of about 60 in Perry that could cause some damage. Even gust to 50 probably could cause damage, though, in Perry because of what we've seen with our storming pattern here with our storm system last week with a hurricane, a major hurricane, and that eye wall moving on through. That was Idalia. So, again, let's go ahead and kind of zoom back on out a little bit. Zoom back on out here. You see some lightning in Georgia, but no advisories here right now. You do have the advisory toward Live Oak, though. You have, again, our severe warning here in play. The worst of this is northwest of Perry right now in Taylor County. Just northwest of Perry and toward part of Taylor County. As we continue to watch, we continue to track, we continue to give you guys the very latest information here this morning. So let me go ahead and zoom back on out. You can see we had a gust of about 20 in Live Oak, 21 there around the Perry Airport. But again, we had a gust of 57 there at 7:35 a.m. at the Big Bend Wildlands Preserve. And that's what prompted this warning, that observed gust here. And that, again, that type of action that we're getting from that storminess could cause some damage and aggravate things that have been fixed to some degree in Perry here over the next little bit in Taylor County, a part of our 62 counties. So there's our map there to kind of describe that situation. Again, it's a thunderstorm warning in play right now for the Perry area over the next little bit. So again, it's not the most impressive wind signature, but you don't want to lay your guard down. Don't want to lay your guard down here toward Perry, as we have some of this moving in there toward central Taylor County over the next little bit. That's more impressive than what we have to the south and east, but we're watching both areas. But this is the one that we got to really be careful with as it moves. You see Hampton Springs are west of Perry, but again, looking there around Perry, again, you have some heavier downpours here, some gustier winds, maybe some severe gusts in there, and they're headed toward town. So gotta be careful there. Gotta be careful. Gotta be inside and away from windows if you can around Perry. I mean, some of those windows that blew out, maybe situation where you don't have things fully fixed yet. And now this rain, this storminess, unfortunately, could be a little bit more problematic than it generally would be in a typical scenario when you have everything in order. But again, looking at this situation right now, again, parts of Taylor County, a severe thunderstorm warning to 8:30. You have those heavier downpours here coming on in from the north and the west here, and they're headed in toward Perry, so going southeast at 30 miles an hour. So you gotta bear that in mind. You gotta keep that in mind here this morning as we're watching things. I'll go ahead and zoom back on out right now. Again, that's where we're really concerned more than anything. Right there as this moves in toward Perry. Moving decently quick here. Not really quick, but quick enough here that it'll move through pretty soon in toward that area in Taylor County. So again, you just have to be really cognizant of what's going on here around Perry right now. Yeah, the airport there in Perry as well. It could have some gusty winds, some damaging winds moving on through here over the next little bit. So you just gotta be mindful here of what could happen. And just be inside, just be away from those windows here as this moves in toward Perry there. You just don't want to be messing around there in Perry and Taylor County as the timeline gets a little bit further along. So again, you see this here on the Doppler. Some wind sewing on up. Let me go ahead and keep looking here at some of my different resources behind the scenes right now. Let's see if there's anything coming on in out of that area. Any information coming on in maybe that we need to pass along to you guys, the viewers at home. Okay, so Roy, just about that warning right now. You gotta take precaution. You gotta take those precautions. Okay, they just updated the warning at 8:30. They've canceled out Jefferson and Madison, but they're continuing areas of Lafayette as well as Taylor. So that's the newest information that's coming on in here. So it looks like they're still going with the observe based on what we had earlier on. But at 8:04, this severe thunderstorm was located 9 miles north of Perry. Worst of it moving southeast at 20. So Perry, Pineland, Cook's Hammock, Chancey, Boyd, Smith, Buckville, Carver, Mayo Junction, Townsend, as well as Lake Bird, Salem, the airport area in Perry, Bucell, Junction, Athena, Day, and Hampton Springs, all are under this warning. So again, you have this thread here. I know we keep talking about Perry, but you guys read about that Category 3 hurricane 9 days ago. Pretty much the same time. This is not anything like that, but it could cause more problems than it generally would a severe thunderstorm because of the damages caused by Idalia. So again, a situation that we're continuing to watch, continuing to track here. Moving toward Perry there in Taylor County. Pretty long fused warning. If this holds together and gets extended, it could be an issue maybe further on down in where the Fayette and Dixie and Gilchrist. We'll see though. Stuff generally, except for what we had around Tallahassee last night, the stuff here later on and earlier on in the period wasn't really holding together that long. But we do have the daytime heating now in place, so we'll have to wait and see. But again, northwest of Perry here, we have some heavy rain and heavy winds. So on up, and those are moving in toward Perry here. Moving in toward Perry over the next little bit. So, gotta be very mindful here in Taylor County of what's going to happen. Again, nothing like what we had last week, but you have these stronger conditions here. And just have to be aware of what's going on. You can kind of see right in there. It's kind of all pushing toward town here over the next few moments. So, again, let me just go ahead and keep looking at things here in the Weather Center. Again, just trying to give you all the latest here. Let me go ahead and zoom back out a little bit. Let me go ahead and zoom back out. You can kind of see here what we're dealing with. You have our severe thunderstorm warning in the yellow box. You have significant weather advisory further off toward the east there. So you just gotta be kind of mindful of all that. Just gotta be taking precaution here. Let me go ahead and keep looking down here. You see some of that wind enhancement. Let me go ahead and kind of keep looking at things. Keep checking, keep tracking. I'm just going to go ahead and keep checking our resources here. It's just a one-man band. Busy weather picture even on this Friday morning. We have to be on more so. I mean, not just because it's a thunderstorm warning, but because it's for an area that was really hit hard last week by the hurricane. So there's things like trees that are leaning, and they could end up coming down in somebody's home here a little bit easier than they normally would. You don't want to see that, obviously. So you got to be really taking precaution here as this moves into toward Perry here and Taylor County over the next little bit. So some nasty weather here. You can see those magentas there. There's a purple on the screen, indicative of the heavier downpour and maybe some small hail mixing in as well. That's not out of the question here. So just gotta be really being careful here in the Perry area in Taylor County. Again, we're just continuing to watch this as it gets closer into Ward Town here. Into Ward Town. Again, we're just going to keep tracking it. We're just going to keep monitoring it here. Again, looking there, the latest in the warning at 8:04. Again, severe thunderstorm located 9 miles north of Perry, moving southeast at 30 miles an hour. So, again, some nasty conditions moving on in here as we look ahead around Perry and parts of Taylor County. So, again, a nasty scenario there. Nasty situation. Let me go ahead and just keep looking at things here. Keep assessing things. See, winds 35, 40. Very unusual to have these type of storms just early in the day. Definitely some different forcing going on here. We just gotta be seeing. We've seen the Central Airport gets into some of this action here in short order. So Again, let me go ahead and keep looking here. Let me go ahead and keep checking. I'm going to check to see what we might have on some other resources here. So bear with me. And I'm looking at some of the cameras here behind the scenes that we looked at here last week during the storminess with our hurricane coming on through. And it definitely looks pretty dark out there. Some of these cameras weren't available then, they are now, but again, trying to give you guys the latest, try to let you guys know exactly what we're tracking. Again, this storminess could exploit some of the vulnerabilities here. Just got to keep that in mind. Again, looking out here toward Taylor County. We're just going to keep looking. You can see the heavier rain. Some gustier winds there possible. Again, I'm just trying to see here what we're dealing with around Perry. A nasty scenario for these folks here with these heavier downpours coming on in. As we go ahead and zoom back on out, you see around Mayo there in Lafayette County. Areas there around Lauraville, they're more so at this point though, but pushing toward Mayo. Some heavier downpours here, maybe a little bit of gusty wind, but not as bad as we're seeing possibly out toward the Perry area here over the next little bit. So something you got to keep in mind, something you got to take precaution from here. We just got to take some precaution. Again, see some of that lightning here on the board. And let's switch modes again. I know we're seeing some different advisories pop up as well out toward like Camden and areas of Charlton and Ware and Nassau. Gust to about 40 in that vicinity, but again, gust to 60 possible. As we're looking toward Perry, gust to 60 possible. So again, I just gotta be mindful of that here in Taylor County. Gotta be mindful of that. So again, just take precautions here. I'm just checking some more information. Just trying to see exactly what we're dealing with here, because that's what it's all about, cloud weather, to try to know exactly what we're dealing with in this type of situation. Just kind of trying to inform you, the viewer at home. I'm trying to pull some more traffic cameras now to see if I can get them in the system to give you an idea of what's going on here. Give you an idea of what's going on. So let's go ahead and try to do that here. Let's go ahead and try to effort one of these. It doesn't look too bad right now compared to what we've seen as we were looking there the other day. I know it was so nasty. Let's pull this up live. So this is US 1998 at Ash Street there. Right now it looks pretty mundane, but it could be a different story here in a few minutes with this storm that's coming on through. So again, back to the Doppler we go. Again, trying to give you the latest here on what's going on, the latest on what's happening here. We're just trying to let you guys know what we're tracking. Again, you have some heavier downpours here west of Boyd. And maybe some gustier winds. Again, this has a history of producing that gust of 57 as we were looking there toward the Big Bend Wildlands Preserve. So that's something you got to be aware of here as this pushes on in over the next little bit. So that potential is there, and we're just going to monitor. We're going to watch it. You can kind of see west side of town maybe starting to get some of those stronger winds to pick on up. Just got to be cognizant of that. Warning continuing proportions of Lafayette and Taylor counties into 8:30. Let me go ahead and zoom back on out here. And you can see what we're down with this yellow box on the screen. So again, let me go ahead and see what else we might have. See if we have some camera views I can go to here that might be helpful. I know that one that we showed you, but the closest to some of the worst of this right now. But I mean, all of them there are pretty close together overall. But I'm just looking back at that camera shot again here, and nothing's really changing, obviously. But just gonna keep looking. It could change here pretty quick, so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind here. as we're looking, as we're tracking, as we're giving you guys the very latest here on what's going on. Let's take you to the site here in Taylor County, the viewpoint. And you can see a little bit of the damage from the storm, and it's actually on this side. This one wasn't up at the height of the storm here, but you can see some of the different signs actually blown out by that wind, and we'll have to see if this wind here causes any more impact here. You can see a little bit of wet conditions here in play, and this is that live look right now indoor part of Taylor County. So Florida 511 perspective there, helping to tell that story. US 1998 to US 221 / Jefferson Street. So let's go ahead and pop up the other radar view again. Keep on with that. Again, watching this here carefully. You can see not the most overwhelming velocity signature we've ever seen, but the history on this and with the area that it's moving into the more vulnerable areas. Because of Idalia, you just never know what could happen here. You just never know what could happen. So, gotta be on guard around Perry right now. Gotta be on guard there in parts of Taylor County and a little bit of Lafayette County in here as well. But it's really focused on Taylor County, our attention at this moment. With this severe thunderstorm warning threat, a severe thunderstorm threat of damaging winds about 60. Not out of the question here at about 8:30 this morning. So you just got to be mindful here. You just got to be really mindful of what's going on. So again, let's go ahead and keep looking here. Not the most impressive, but it's moving in toward Perry here soon, northwest of there right now. But kind of starting to get into town here in just the next few moments. In Taylor County, it's a thunderstorm warning in play for another 13 minutes here, based on what Weather Service in Tallahassee issued. So, just got to be careful with this. You got to be mindful of this here. And we're just going to keep on checking things as the situation does require it. So, let me go ahead and check here. Some more information, see if we have any questions, maybe. Okay, I'll check on that here in just a second. So if you have any questions for any of the viewers, just bear with me. Just a one-man band here. Okay, so again, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thanks so much for watching here on this Friday morning, on this September 8th, 2023. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. We thank you so much for tuning in. Try to give you guys the very latest on what's going on here with this thunderstorm warning for parts of Taylor County around Perry here. Again, I'm not seeing anything too crazy further off toward the east right now. Let's go to that broad perspective here. Let's go to that broad perspective. You can see temperature's pretty cool. I mean, to have that warning in play even, but you can kind of see some of that lightning in Georgia. But I'll have to see how this kind of pushes on down. We could have storms really get going later, depending on how much instability really built in. Now, that could end up being an issue for high school football if they set up the wrong way. The models have been back and forth on that. So, just never know here. Just never know with that type of scenario. You see the instability lacking further to the north. So, that might help us out some for a while. We'll see. But, again, we do have the warning in play at this point in time. At this point in time, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning there in play. We do have the instability out that way. So that's something to bear in mind here. Some surface-based cape. And you have that threat there toward parts of the area. So, again, severe thunderstorm warning to 8:30. It's another 10 or 11 minutes. Again, we're just trying to give you guys the latest on what's going on here. The latest to protect you, protect your friends, and protect your family. Again, let me go ahead and see what we might have as I check some of our different sources here. Again, nothing new really. Of course, there's a few folks that are still in the dark there though from our storming that's there last week with Idalia. We also have some folks in the dark still from last night's storms as the last checker on Tallahassee. So that's something to bear in mind there too. Again, as we're just trying to see, there's a marine warning that has got issued now for areas further down in the word to go. That's until 10:15. So there's some impacts of these conditions there. So just something to bear in mind. Let me go ahead and keep looking here. Keep checking. So it looks like some of the waters is starting to get more in towards period velocity mode. And so let me go ahead and pull up that camera perspective here again if we can. I'm going to try to pull that up. So let me get a video there for that. Yes, 1998 at Ash Street. Trying to give you guys a viewpoint. Right now the wind does not look too impressive from this, but that could always change, or maybe the waters is heading a different spot. There's that view. You don't see really any wind there right now, which is some good news, but that could always change here in pretty short order. So again, we'll just keep looking here, keep checking, try to give you guys the latest there in our viewing area. Again, nothing like what we saw last Wednesday out of this. That's for sure. That's for sure. Again, just trying to give you guys the very latest. I know we repeat ourselves some, but that's what happens when you're on for a while. It's all about protecting you, all about protecting your friends, all about protecting your family. Let's pop away from that for now. And just kind of tries to come on in. Tries to come on into the view here. Just trying to see what we got here. Try to see what's going on. Going through some of our different resources. Bear with me. Just checking here. Everything we have. Okay, so they're saying now they don't really think these winds are going to be reaching the severe characteristics here. Severe properties, I guess would be the right word for that. So that's good news. They're going to go ahead and expire this warning. Technically, it still goes to 8:30. But it's a situation here where they're saying right now they don't think the threat is there as much as it was. As we were looking further up toward the north, we did have some brighter colors in there to an extent. But honestly, it's a situation still going to be kind of aware here around Perry then. So we'll stick with it a few more moments and we'll wrap it up. But this is still moving toward Perry. Still could exploit some vulnerabilities here. So just got to keep that in mind. Just got to keep that in mind. I know it's a pretty early hour here still in the weather center with the warning not being in play as we're looking ahead. I think we will wrap it here soon. But you have some gusty winds even on Mayo possible as well. But so just be careful. Some loose trees here or tree limbs could fall in this type of situation. So we want folks to be extra careful. I mean, even the rain can do some problems here for you. I mean, in terms of causing those to take place. I mean, it can create some problems. That's what I'm trying to say there. Again, just looking here. I'm just trying to see exactly what we got. Again, nasty weather. Still moving into Perry, whether the warning is going to be in play or not. Technically, it still goes 8:30, but it's going to be dropped here. That's what they're trying to do at this point. They're dropping that. So, again, let's just go ahead and keep looking, keep tracking. We're going to wrap it for now. Thanks so much for tuning in. Trust in me. If we need to jump back and we will stay weather aware. Be careful on Perry here this morning as we watch this severe weather potential coming on in toward that area there. Technically for another 5 minutes, but really again when they expire that, that means that they're not expecting here that threat to really be in play at this point, but they're just keeping it just in case we had a severe wind gust. It would technically be something that would be verifiable per se to match up with a warning through 8:30. So just be kind of mindful there. Not giving you the all clear, strong weather at least still in that vicinity, but not necessarily severe weather right now in parts of that region. Just be inside still whenever you have that thunder rumble, and just keep that in mind there around Perry in parts of Taylor County. You don't want to have a situation where you're hurt here by this storminess on this Friday morning. If we need to give you more information, we will, but for now, Thanks so much for tuning in and trusting me.